Folks, this show is what this podcast is all about. You're trying to do the right thing. You're moving forward. You're doing it together, and the rug gets ripped out right underneath your feet. You're flat on your back. Now, moving forward is one thing. Getting up is completely different. We're going to talk about that next with Brenda Lee Cutlip of Shelby Joes on the Purpose Under Pressure podcast. Now, the heat is on. Let's get cooking. This is Purpose Under Pressure. It's a podcast about people, business folk just like you and me. We're all on purpose. We're all waking up in the morning, swinging our legs out of bed, putting our feet on the floor, and getting after something. And we've got a reason that we do that. But then those storms and those pressures start to rise, and they try to knock us down. Do we let them knock us down, or do we push on? That's what this show is all about. I hope that you choose to push on, and that's what this show is going to help you to do. If you are back, thank you for coming back and enjoying the show with us. Don't forget to like us or follow us or subscribe or tell a friend. Tell your mom if that's what helps, but we want people to know this show is out there so that we can make a difference in their lives too. So thank you for doing that in advance. Purpose Under Pressure is brought to you by Sandler by the Ruby Group, serving sales professionals nationwide from their Akron and Columbus, Ohio locations. They're also in Jacksonville, Florida. They are in the capital region of upstate New York. They are the second most effective, valuable, successful, whatever the term is. They're huge in the Sandler world, and that's big news for you because they really know what they're doing. Their business growth, their revenue generation, their sales training. If you have a sales team out there representing you, you want them to represent you right, don't you? It's not about tricks. It's not about gimmicks. It's not about jokes and how can we make the biggest numbers. It's about doing things well and on purpose. That's what Sandler by the Ruby Group is all about. You can find them online at rubygroup.sandler.com. So let's start the show. I want to ask you a question. Has anyone ever told you you should sell that? I hear it all the time. I like to cook. I really love to entertain and cook things for people. And I hope people aren't lying to me, but they do tell me they like it. And just recently, my son said, hey, you should bottle that guacamole. Well, I'm not going to do that. I don't know that anybody ever buy it. Some people do. Some people do take that step. And I think it's really cool when they do. You're going to meet our guest today who, on severe purpose and under severe pressure, has taken that next step to put her product in a bottle so that you can enjoy it. The president of Shelby Joes is my guest. Please welcome Brenda Lee Cutlip to Purpose Under Pressure. Welcome, Brenda Lee.
Good morning.
Really glad you're here. I love that you're in your kitchen. That's where this all started. I want you to tell me about what's so amazing. Tell me about your product, and then we're going to dig into the why. But tell me about Shelby Joes and that great Sloppy Joe sauce.
Okay, so we have Shelby Joe sauces, and we started with an original, which is like a homemade with a little bit of spice. And then we went to sweet because my son Bryan asked for a homemade sweeter version. And then we went to hot because we had several friends asking for hot sauce, but with flavor. And then just recently, I created the taco sauce that is made for taco meat for Taco Tuesdays.
That's tremendous. I want to ask you, I tell you the great thing about the hot sauce, because I like hot food. Most times you buy hot food, it's not really all that hot. Your hot Sloppy Joe sauce is tremendous. It's so good.
Thank you. Our friends Gary and Zane were our taste testers, and they love hot food. And they said, oh my goodness, it's habanero hot pepper, and then it has flavor. And that's what I keep hearing from people. It's like, it's not really hot. And then a second later, they're like, oh my gosh, I taste it now. And oh my gosh, it's got flavor. Most hot foods do not have flavor. So they're so excited about it.
It's that heat that just gets to that spot where you're like, oh, is this going to be too hot? But it's there. And then it bows down. And I think that's so cool. And it's just delicious. So tell me about the sauce. You're making the sauce and it's delicious. But tell me the story behind Shelby Joe's Sloppy Joe sauce.
Okay, the story. Shelby Joe, the guy on the jar, Shelby Joseph Cutlip, he created the first three Shelby Joe Sloppy Joe sauces. And we did it because we were raising four sons, Bryce, Briar, Logan, and Derek. And then all of their cousins and all their friends were here. We had a pool and they played sports. So in the summertime especially, we had a house full of kids, probably a dozen young boys every single night. So we fed them Shelby Joes before it even had a name. And then I would make shredded chicken because I wasn't a fan of Sloppy Joes, just being honest. And so finally one day I scooped up a scoop of the original with a Frito and I said, Shelby Joe, this is delicious. And he's like, I've been trying to tell you, Brenda Lee. So then our nephew David comes in one day and he goes, hey, are we having Shelby Joes? Because he knew Shelby's name was, of course, Shelby Joe. And I'm like, that has a neat ring to it. Shelby Joes, Sloppy Joes. That's so cool. And we should do that. So we love the beach. And we started Shelby Joes in a jar because we would take Shelby Joes to Mapleton's baseball games, football games, basketball. We would feed the team. And the parents in the stand, specifically Denise, says, great, your last kid's graduating. We're never going to get this again. You need to put it in a jar. So we contacted Knock Canning Kitchen, Northern Ohio Canning Kitchen up in Bowling Green, which needs our support tremendously right now. Anyhow, amazing people, Paula and Kareem, they helped us to manufacture Shelby Joes and go through all the state guidelines. Kathy Goon from Ashland, because of my friend Sherry, said, contact her. She'll help you with your business plan. We had no idea where to start. We were cooks. We were just feeding a bunch of boys. And so as Kathy helped us with our plan, we met with her several times when she worked for Ashland Economic Development. She helped us with our business plan. We took it up to the Knock Canning Kitchen. We went and gathered all the jars, lids, got some help with the labels. I was thinking her new name of her company is Carolina, and she helped with our label.
Oh, right there on Main Street in Ashland.
Yes. And so sweet. And so I worked with her
Yeah.
mom, and that's how that all started. And of course, Larry over at Spectrum, all these people, just amazing. John Maurer Photography, takes Shelby Joe's picture. And we love the beach. So the label has sand and footprints in the sand. 1 Corinthians 10:31 through 33, which is so important. Shelby Joe added that. He said, truly, we need to give God all the glory. Whatever we drink, whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we do, we need to give God all the glory. So that is on our label. It's just really cool to, with the taco, I added some of our story because people kept asking me to add this story. So there's a little bit of story in there that when Shelby Joe 5 years ago left to be with Jesus, we had planned on doing the taco. We just never got to do it together. So we created all these sauces. Of course, to God be all the glory. And I mean that. It's his sauce. I'm the ambassador, And so it's so cool to be able to see these young kids come back to our golf outing. We have a Shelby Joe's golf outing every year. And these kids come back. And they are kids that grew up here eating Shelby Joe's before it had a name. And they give back. And we give to LifeWise. We give to Mapleton scholarships. We give back to people through this outing that they come, that now they're CEOs of companies and they're presidents of companies. And they're working and they're giving back to our community silently. They, of course, don't brag about it. Nobody knows that. But boy, is my heart warmed that day.
I bet. And you made that thing happen. And I'm interested in that moment. So I think you said her name was Denise, and she said, boy, we're not going to see this anymore. And you started putting in the jars and you decided to do this. How did you decide? Because lots of people, like I said at the top of the show, lots of people say to people, wow, you should put that in a jar. You should do it. And yet no one ever does. Like what was the trigger that said, look, we're going to go for it? Was there a need or was it a dream, or what caused you to just say, forget it. We're going after this.
That's funny that you asked that question in that part of the story, because I forget about that until you say it. So we're down at North Carolina Beach. We love the beach. Every year we went there since their kids were little. We would go with a lot of friends, and we're going to this yacht club, right, for lunch. Of course, we don't feel like we belong to this yacht club. We're just excited that they let us come there for lunch. So we go and we're walking the docks and we're looking at all these yachts and we're like, wow, like it's a house in a boat, And so Shelby Joe says, I wonder how someday we can get one of these. And I'm giggling and laughing. And I said, I told you, you need to put your sauce in a jar.
Awesome.
You need to get busy. And so we would sit at the beach. And every year, even to this day, when I sit on that seashore, it is amazing the messages I get about the business. And that happened to us every year. We would go down there, and Walnut Creek, our distribution company, Shelby Joe and I met Mark, the owner, a month before he passed. And actually, we met him a couple years before that, because he said, go make some more. People like to see variety. You've got one. It's great. Go make more. And he started with just a truck delivering cheese and a promise. So his business has grown to an amazing business, Walnut Creek Foods. And then they have stores in Millersburg. So he was our encourager. And he just said, go get busy and make some more. So we did. And every year we'd sit at the beach, we would get more messages like, I need more of your sauce. Like just orders would come in while we were sitting there. And I kept saying, oh my gosh, it's like confirmation we're supposed to do this. And then we went up to Knock And Willie's Salsa started there. They're now a multi-billion-dollar company. They have their
Yeah.
own warehouse. They have their own everything. They're amazing people, very
Yeah.
encouraging. And Dennis, the owner, would come out and he'd say, "Oh my gosh, that smells so good. What are you cooking?" And we would tell him, and he'd say, "How many stores are you in?" I'd be like, "9." And he'd be like, "9? That's great. When you were here last time, you were in none. Like, that's great." And so he was our cheerleader every time we went. And so, of course, I buy their salsa. They
Of
have fresh
course.
salsa, which is
I
delicious.
love Willie's salsa. Yeah.
Yes, they were encouragers. And so I so appreciate all of them. John, their marketer, and Dave and Sarah, and Dennis, like amazing people. So the people along the way, the mustard man, Saucy Sal's, like they made their sauces up there too. And just so encouraging to our hearts when we truly didn't know what we were doing, but just cooking food.
I love that you took the time to call out the partners that have helped you kind of be a part of this, because I
Yes,
think too often people think I've got to do it myself, or I did do it
yes,
myself, or people on the
yes.
outside look in and say, wow, Brenda, look what she's done. And yet, how
Oh,
did you know that you needed these people? How did you come to meet them and to realize that I need a team around me to kind of
yeah.
encourage me?
So many people, and I'm telling you, I really believe God is in this story, and those people just were showing up like
They just showed
constantly.
up. I
Yeah, they
love
just were
that.
showing up. It's like
Yeah.
I believe God sent them to us. We would see them at like
Yeah.
different booths and different like food shows. We won this a governor's award one time up in Toledo, and we were like, really? We didn't even know we were up for an award. And so then the people were coming to our booth and they were going, "Good job! Like I love your stuff." We didn't even know. And along the way, my family, my sister and her husband Tom, my sister Lois Ann and her husband Tom, they were like one of the first people to come help us produce. And then my sons Bryce and Briar, and then also my there was a college group that was going on a mission trip. So a girl I worked with, her son and daughter-in-law and their friends, and they're all like doctors and stuff now, which is so cool. And then I have to shout out to my cousins, Clara, Anson, and Austin. They would drive through blizzards to come and help us manufacture. My friend Meg, when Shelby Joe left to be with Jesus, she knew how to drive a trailer because she grew up on a farm pulling trailers for cows to take to the fair. So we're on our way to Cleveland to pick up jars and lids. And, thank God for her friendship since sixth grade. So I could just go on and on. The people, her whole family helps me with the golf outing. And I just have been so blessed with so many people. And if I'm leaving anybody out, I apologize. But
Yeah.
like,
They know
it's
it.
been amazing.
Do you think that most brands, like I think of a major brand like a Velveeta cheese, let's say, like do most kind of brands start out this way where it's all hands on deck and mom and dad trying to figure things out and the kids pitching in as well? Is that the majority, do you think, of food out there, or do you think that you're rare? I think you're the majority.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I, when we were starting all this, Shelby and I, of course, were like pushing forward, and our kids were still growing and still playing sports and still busy. And so it was hard to get their help at the time because they were so busy. And I said to Shelby, I said, this is our dream. And we can't expect everybody just to jump on board because it's our dream. I mean, if they go and open a business, do we stop everything and go help them? It's got to be in their hearts. And so
Mm.
eventually, thank God, they all did jump in. And I had a group of men and women at church, Bethel Baptist. John Bouquet is an amazing pastor.
Yes,
And
he
there
is.
was a group of businessmen, Sam and Zane, and Zane and Debbie ran all these Wendy's, and
Yeah.
Sam and different business people would meet with me and my sons, Bryce and Briar, and we would talk about what we need to do next when Shelby Joe passed, because we were in the middle of COVID 2020. Shelby passed, unfortunately, 55 years old, genetic blood clotting, we knew nothing about. And we had a pastor that was calling the governor and come to the hospital. When everybody else was running out the doors, he was running in and praying for us, which was amazing. So during that, I didn't even realize what was going on, to be honest, until later when I had another businessman that was working with Kroger's. And we're, of course, trying to get into there someday too, in Myers, hopefully in
Hmm.
the spring.
Okay.
250 some stores with Walnut
Oh
Creek
my gosh.
in 33 states. And I laughed the other day because there's a store called Lulu's out in Colorado that has Shelby Joe's. And I thought, is that so cool? We're in Colorado at Lulu's Market. And I've never been there. So I
I
appreciate
love
Walnut
that.
Creek because they've
I
taken
love that.
Shelby Joe's. So as all this is happening, this guy from Kroger says to me, if you're here today and you started your business, really started your business during COVID and it's growing,
Hmm.
that's a miracle.
Away you go.
Because look up the numbers of the stores and the businesses that closed during COVID. So many
That's
did.
right. Yes, they
And
did.
and thank God I had co-packers, Dorina, and different companies that just stayed the course, and they were getting the jars and the lids when it wasn't easy, because some of it was coming across the United States borders and it wasn't easy to get this stuff, but they were getting it and they were manufacturing Shelby Joes, and I was still able to make sure it was in the store. So the fact that Shelby Joe stayed busy after 2020, amazing. And so I know I'm
That's right.
supposed to do this, even though it's truly walk by faith, not by sight.
And I want to talk about that. I want to jump back real quickly just to highlight something you just said. You're excited about the opportunity of getting into Myers in the summer, and that's awesome.
Yes.
But you are just over the moon about the fact that you're in this grocery store in Colorado that you
Yes.
haven't been to. And I
Yes.
just think that's the true passion that comes out. It's not about majority, it's not about quantity, it's not about how much, it's just about the success. And knowing that
Yeah.
you're there lights your fire.
Yes.
Every bit as much as getting into Myers and Kroger's does, which is going to be, of course, a huge opportunity for you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about pressure here, because I don't want to gloss over the fact that while you're building this company and while COVID is shutting down the world, your husband goes to Jesus, and you said before he didn't pass away, he didn't die. He's gone to be with Jesus. I want to talk about what that could have done, or maybe even did, to your company, to your family during that time, and how you were to overcome that pressure to be able to make the impact that you're making now.
Looking at the typical salesperson, everything they do day in and day out, if we simplify all of that and really boil it down, they have two superpowers. First superpower that salespeople have is how they behave. Second superpower they have is what they say. As a seller, we only have two problems. We either said something or did something that we should not have said or done, or we didn't say something or do something that we should have said or done.
Okay. So, of course, as I've already let you know, I truly believe that God is in this story, and I lean on Him and Jesus with everything in me. And so I pray for wisdom. And in that, I kept feeling and hearing that I am to continue on. And it was not to stop, because there was a lot of talk about that. There was a lot of talk about, did this make sense? As Shelby Joe, I left to be with Jesus. I never dreamed I would do this without him. He was a dreamer, and I was more, and am still more realistic. And so we would go back and forth always in the business, even when we would talk about starting it. Like, he would make the phone calls on good days, and then some days he wouldn't have those days, and I would make the phone calls. So we kind of kept each other encouraged through it. So without him being here, I didn't have that person, and that was hard.
Mm.
So I leaned with God with everything in me, and in my family and my friends, and like I said, my church family and the stores around me. Of course, I'd love to mention them, that we got started with. Shelby Joe would deliver personally to them, and of course I would help when he needed me to. So I started doing that along with my sons, Bryce and Briar. They started helping me, and my grandchildren would even ride along to go deliver sauce in the middle of COVID, because Shelby Joe passed in July of 2020. And so we're in the heat of COVID. And so to keep a business going, I had somebody from a big store say that was just amazing. And that was a sign in itself that Shelby Joe's was to continue on, because so many stores closed during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that it was growing said so much, but food was such an issue at the time because people couldn't get jars and lids and products. And so as store shelves were emptying, and of course toilet paper was the biggest thing,
I
which was
remember.
funny. Remember
Yeah,
that?
I
And
remember.
so, yeah.
We thought the
So
world was coming to an end at that time. Do you remember that? Yeah.
yes. And so as I was in it in the medical field also, trying to be COVID tested all the time, and all these things were going on. Food was such a big deal. And to have Shelby Joe's on the shelf, that can last as long as your grandma's tomatoes in the pantry, like we
Yeah.
have to put a date on it, but truly it can last forever. So it was a good product to have in your cupboard, because that, along with 2 pounds of meat, was a really good meal. And so people were buying it and saving it in their pantry, which was such a blessing. So I just, by a walk in faith, truly kept going.
And I'm glad that you did, but I just want to go back, if you don't mind, just a little bit further and dig a little bit deeper, because at that time, I think you had just you were just kind of getting rolling. It's not like you were making $1 million on this thing. I'm not sure where it even, I know you still have growth ideas and aspirations, but it could have been a time for you to quit. It could have been, look, it just didn't work out. And yet you kept going. Was it just that faith? You have some, the people pulling you or pushing you. It couldn't have been an easy decision.
Not at all. I had some people telling me I was absolutely crazy to keep it going. They told Shelby and I that, this isn't a moneymaker. What are you thinking? Because we were putting our paychecks into this business. But we felt so strong about it that we were to do it. And so then we gathered with a bunch of business owners at Bethel. Pastor John Bouquet is truly the pastor. He is amazing.
He's been brought up a few times in this show. People always
Yes.
talk about John Bouquet. It's amazing.
Yes, he's true blue. And so he gathered me with Zane and Sam and different business owners. And we even had conference calls with business owners saying, does this make sense? And so truly a walk of faith. We all just were like, okay, keep going. This is what you need to do. And we're here for you, Brenda. If you need our help, we're here to support you. And my friend Debbie, I went to school with her and married to Zane. Of course, she was such a support too. And so people were like, we love the product. We want you to keep doing it. And so I had that side too. Like I had people encouraging me to keep it going. And why would I even think any different? And then, of course, you always have the negative people that you just truly have to ignore those comments and go forward.
And sometimes, even though negativity, it's meant in your best behalf. They want the best for you. They just can't see the same thing that you see.
Yes.
And so I'm glad you're able to see past that and work towards that, because that's what this show is all about. And people deal with pressure every single day. Not always the kind you have, sometimes worse, sometimes easier. It's still, every day is a hardship, and we're trying to do something more, and every day pushes back. And God bless you for continuing on with that dream and moving that forward, because now we're talking about some really great opportunities. And you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but you have big dreams for distribution and availability in larger chain stores. Tell me a little bit about what's next for Shelby Joe's Sloppy Joe sauce and the taco sauce.
Okay. So I have like these little stores that we started with. Some of them are friendships, some of them are relationships, like Little Callahan's and Nova. They believed in us from the beginning and have kept Shelby Joe's there. Bueller's, all the stores. Jason, the buyer, met Shelby and I, and they have several stores. He met us a month before Shelby left to be with Jesus. And he said, I can't believe it. Like, he was so healthy and so good. I said, I know. And he's like, Brenda, just because you guys were nice, yes, I will buy your sauce, whatever, we need to do. And then same with Walnut Creek, of course, distribution. The owner, Mark, couldn't have been more kind and helpful, and Larry, the buyer. And so then Glenn Surplus, that's my uncle. My cousin started bringing it into the store, and they sell it in a store that you would never think you were looking for Shelby Joe's sauce.
No, right.
They sell it. People love it. They go there and buy it at Glenn's, which right now, of course, they're closed for the winter, but in the spring you can go back and get some. Okay. And they let you order online, of course. So then Miller's, all the Millers, Ashland.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I love Karen at Hawkins Miller's. Everybody loves their donuts, of course, and they're so supportive in our community. And so Ashland and New London has always been with us. And just today, Norwalk Miller's put Shelby Joe's on the shelf for the first time.
Excellent.
So I'm excited to say that too. And Beyond Measure Market, of course, is wonderful. Joe and Esther have been so supportive from the beginning, and I love supporting their mission and their ministry too. And Fin Feather Fur, I just love them in our community too. Shelby Joe's is there, and in their stores, even up north, like toward the lake. Wayne's in Lexington, Pickwick, and Bucyrus. I could just go on and on of the stores that have supported us from the beginning, and I'm so appreciative of them. And it's just fun to keep it going. And so in the future, I'm looking at some Myers stores. There's two brothers that own the Myers company, and they have 57 stores. So I'm starting out in just a few in the spring. And then I've met with Kroger's. GFS, I'm hoping to get our gallon taco jar in there, because I have people that are like excited to make taco bar, walking tacos. I have concession stands, Mapleton, Nankin, already asking me for Shelby Joe's, and they open up a case of jars, 12 of them, to make a roaster pan full. So they're excited to have a gallon jar, and they're hoping they can get it from GFS. My grandkids say, Grandma, we need this in the school. So of course, for nursing homes, assisted living, hospitals, and schools, concession stands, the GFS gallon would make sense. So that's something in the works. And again, I could just go on and on. People are using it for gift baskets, like for Christmas. I have people sending me
Oh,
messages
yeah.
saying, I never heard of this. I love it. My kids hardly eat. There's a lady that I met at a taste testing. Her son is autistic, and she said she has a hard time getting him to eat, let alone meat products. And he asked for Shelby Joes. And so that is so wonderful to hear. She said, as a mom's heart, I have my son asking me for food, which is so
Yeah.
wonderful. And she said, you have no idea what you've done for me. She said a couple of times a week he'll ask for Shelby Joes. And
Wow.
I really believe in my heart, of course, it's the taste, the flavor, the ease of making it. It's gluten-free. I believe that there's so much to that in the recipe, but it's truly, I really believe it's God in the story. And people are just craving it and asking for it, which is just wonderful.
And I know that's going to carry you through this next question. And you might not want to give away your secrets, but when Myers or Kroger says yes, or GFS says yes, start making me gallons, you've got to have the production capacity to pull that off. And I know you're already thinking of that. Do you want to
Yeah.
give any away secrets at all, or do you just want to say, yeah, we're ready to go?
We're ready to go because
Okay.
I have a co-packer that is a fifth generation Christian family. They're wonderful. I met them. They are
Awesome.
the nicest people. And I really believe they can keep up as they manufacture for over 400 companies. Some of the companies I mentioned earlier that I've met along the way, they work with them. And I have such a backup of mentors that I'm not afraid. Like I will figure that part out. Well, God and I will figure that out along with
Yeah.
all the people in the community. But I do have a wonderful co-packer.
And I think that's as we start to wrap up here, I think that's the thing that I want people to understand. You don't have it all figured out. You're doing a lot on faith. You're doing a lot knowing that you're on the right path, knowing that Shelby Joe would want this for you, and you're moving forward without any real safety net, without any real guarantee. I,
Yes.
I love that for you. And I hope that, do you have a bit of advice, even though, like we said, you don't have all the answers, but do you have some advice for people out there that are like, I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I can leave this job and try a new one. I don't know if I can take that step. What would you say to those people based on your experience?
Okay. So I believe this in my own heart, so I want to share this wholeheartedly. The Lord's word says that if you ask for wisdom, God will give it to you. And so all the time and every day and everything, I ask for wisdom. And especially when it comes to Shelby Joe's Incorporated, what to do, what not to do. And I really believe he'll give you a peace beyond understanding. You'll know if it's
Mm.
the right thing to do or not. And in some ways, not at all peace. Just like I laugh sometimes and think some of the decisions I've made just most recently in my life, I think, God told Noah to go build the ark and he did, and people thought he was crazy.
Yeah, he
Well,
did.
some days I feel like Brenda Lee, go build the ark. And I think,
People
okay,
think you're
this
crazy.
people think I'm crazy. And so I think, I know. And so as I'm doing it and as I'm going forward, and with Shelby Joe too, I couldn't have asked for a more peaceful husband and partner in that. And, recently I had Jeff helping me, and he was so hopeful with coming along and helping me with taste testings, and friends and family just helping me so much with taste testings. And they believe in the products and they love them and they eat them and they send me pictures. I have so much peace about it that I can't help but to keep going forward. And I hope and pray I can look back someday on this moment in my life and actually say that was truly a walk in faith. I have this little note in my kitchen window that says, faith is having your soul go beyond what your eyes can see. And that's the truth.
Boy,
That
is
is
that the
truth.
truth.
True.
Stepping outside of that boat. And I
Yes.
love that you're doing it.
Thank you.
If there's someone out there that wants to put your sauce and your Sloppy Joe sauce and taco sauce and all the products that come in their store, or if they just want to talk to you about how you might help them in their different directions, how would they reach out to you, Brenda? How would they find you and your products?
Oh, okay. So they can, I have a website
Okay.
that actually the canning kitchen I started at, Kareem helped me develop that. So I have shelbyjoes.com. They could email me also at shelbyjoesinc@gmail.com. They're more than welcome to call me at 419-651-5622. I'd be happy to talk to them about all these things. I actually am excited to say that at the end of this month, on the 27th at 10 a.m., I'm going to be on New Day Cleveland.
Awesome.
It's actually a Tuesday, so I'm going to actually feature a Taco Tuesday and do Taco Shelby Joes and cook. And I love Fox 8 News, so I'm excited to go and be a part
That's
of
so
that.
cool.
Yes, and I have a lot of taste testings planned, like Bueller's in Canton this month, and I have Wayne's and I have Pickwick. So I have places that I'm doing taste testings. So of course they can see me there. Facebook, Shelby Joe's INC is my Facebook page. I usually try to share different meal ideas on there, and they're more than welcome to send me their photos and information of recipes too, because that's fun to share. Because people are like, "Oh, I never thought to do like a taco bake before. I never thought about walking tacos. I don't know why I didn't think that, but I'm going to do that for the graduation party." So that's been
That's
fun.
awesome. That's so cool. And this episode will air about a week before you go on to New Day Cleveland. And so hopefully, if anyone's listening now, they'll mark that on their calendar because that is so much fun. They do such a good
Good.
job of promoting local businesses and that up at New Day Cleveland. Hey, two things as we wrap up, folks. I want to wrap up with two things. Number one, maybe as important as anything else, this is just really good product. I've had it. I've enjoyed it. I love the hot. And if you don't like hot, I mean, this is a hot. It's really a hot, and it's really good.
Yeah.
It's not hurtful hot. It's just a good heat, and I really appreciate that. We talked about that earlier. But second, I think most importantly, this show, I've done over 100 episodes, maybe 110, I don't know, something like that. And we're going to do a lot more. But it's such a blessing to me to be able to have these stories, to be able to meet these people. You and I, Brenda, met before, but to be able to hear your story and to share it with others, I think it's a story that needs to be heard. I think the work that you're doing so that others will benefit. You may or may not notice or realize that, but that's why any of us are in business,
Yes.
to help other people in some way. And you're doing that. You talked about that, and you're going to keep doing that. So, folks, if you're out there wondering what's next for me, like Brenda Lee said, just ask the Lord, and you'll know what to do from there. And so, Brenda Lee Cutlip, president of Shelby Joes, thank you so much for being vulnerable. Thank you for sharing. And thank you for doing all the great things you're doing. Thank you for being a guest on Purpose Under Pressure.
Thank you, Bryan. I was wanting to say too, I don't think it was an accident that I came and gave blood the same time you and your lovely wife were there the other day. Just like we said earlier, people bring people into my life. It was not an accident that we met there that day. So thank you for having me on your podcast.
I think you're exactly right. That is Brenda Lee Cutlip. She's my guest on Purpose Under Pressure, the president of Shelby Joes. Go out and try some. Find it, try it, tell a friend, and we'll see what happens from there. This show is brought to you by Sandler by the Ruby Group. Purpose Under Pressure has been there for, like I said, this is the ninth season. So Sandler by the Ruby Group has been there all 9 seasons, and they're coming back for more. So we thank them. Just remember, sellers are under pressure to perform, just like you are. Sandler helps you to succeed on purpose. You're going to find all past episodes of Purpose Under Pressure at bryanmediastrategies.com/podcast and wherever you stream your favorite shows. We do this every week, and we will see you next time on Purpose.
Thank you.
And